Good morning, happy people. My name is Jay Song. Welcome today to ChartRoom. And we are going to start today with Ray, CRM, and then we'll look into USDT.D. We had a video error and we could not upload the Bitcoin and XRP section, which is unfortunate. But the images are on our website if you missed them. Okay. Let's go to Ray. Let's start with the cryptocurrency Ray. Okay, I have Ray on MEXC exchange, so we're gonna start from there. Okay, and so we'll type in Ray, and then I'm gonna look under MEXC. We'll click this button, and this is gonna pop up for us. If you didn't have it before, you can always come up here and type in Ray, and otherwise you'll be looking up at the watch list you'll have, and you can type in Ray or whatever cryptocurrency, USD, and then we'll scroll down to the one that says MEX. You can click the little button here that makes it plus and add it to the watch list, and then you can click this button right over here that makes it full screen. Okay, so if you guys are new, that's how you'll do that. No, not that one. Oh, that's how we added it. Ray USDT. Okay. Oh, we could have clicked this one first, then it populates here, and then we click this one. All right. Okay. Okay, let's update some more important lines and get rid of the ones that are not as important. So this one that wouldn't be as important. We'll double check the weekly chart first with the higher level time frames. And yeah, so this one can be deleted. That one can be deleted. Let's look at the more important ones. Man, this is accurate. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys some important lines. Let's break this down a little bit piecemeal. That's my word of the day, piecemeal. You know what that word means? Thank you. No, not that kind of piecemeal melody. She's like, peace? Like, it's small pieces to eat something, like a meal. Like, break the meal in smaller pieces. Okay. Okay, one of the things I'm going to do, or I'm doing with this structure here, this is a weekly chart, so each one of these bars represents 1 week worth of time. Okay. And we see first that price is responding really nice to the sword cut that's going to be created based on some of these energy centers. So the center of this energy is about right here, and the center of that energy is here. On the top side, we got an energy center here, and maybe this one's going to be the highest one. Okay, but these are the smaller areas. So when you draw, our angle is going to look something like this. And our sword cut area is the area by which we cut through. It's going to be approximately here. This is where we draw our flat sword cut, which our whole system is named after. And we got a nice rejection off of the sword cut here. So this is a really good bounce off of there. And here's our smaller watch line, which means that the trade could be taken somewhere about right here. This is where we're looking for things to start moving down. Okay, if you drew it only as a straight, it'd be somewhere still in the same place. But for right now, it's about somewhere there. Okay, the next thing we're going to draw is the event line. Okay, so the event line is going to be where price, the last thing that happens before the breakdown. So if this really is weakness, we need to calculate where the next health or support will come in. And the next health or support is going to come in here, or supposed to be coming here on the upper energy center. So we're going to take these upper energy centers, whatever angle that is, and we're going to mark that as our event angle. Okay. In this case, it's quite easy to draw. It's going to be an angle something like this. I think that's going to be the more meaty part. So let's try to mark that down. I got some cores about right there, and some wicks. So I'm going to use about that angle. Okay. and that's going to get me an angle, something like that. Now with this angle, we're going to bring it down to that lower energy center, which is right here, and we're just going to keep the same angle and bring it down there, and you can see that it forms something here. What happens when these meet together, or prices in that area? What do we call that, by the way?
Vortex.
Call it a vortex. Good job. That's right. Easy peasy. We call it a vortex. If we wanted to label this, we can put a name. We could vortex if we wanted to. So this is our event, and this one in white. Let's give this a label. Event angle. Okay, and this will be our event line. It also can be named our EV phantom. Okay. Because it's just a phantom of the event angle. Which I like that terminology a little bit better as I was considering it more and more. So now, what was supposed to happen in sequence is if we were really breaking down here, then that was the first thing that's supposed to happen. The next thing that happened is we're supposed to calculate for the event angle, and that means that we're supposed to bounce here. Now you can see initially we had a lot of pressure up here for this crypto. Okay, we tried to come up, but eventually we broke down the very next week. So this very next week is where the weakness really comes in. Health was supposed to appear here, but it failed. So right now, the main active component or element for this crypto is weakness. Okay, so this is not in a good spot. And when we are further compounding with this round action right up into the actual vortex, it further amplifies the issue. The next weakness is that smaller watch line that we were drawing earlier, and it's here. So now we have a sequence of 3 weaknesses. Weakness, and the other weakness is actually here, and is our big weakness. So this is when we're looking at this live, we're looking at weakness. Okay, so I'll mark this down with an image. Let's add some text, and I'm going to take a white. I'll type in weakness number 1. And I'm going to write it about here, and we'll draw another arrow. Weakness number 2. Weakness number 3. Weakness number 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's label that, okay? This can be going over here. Oops. Okay, so now let's draw some lines that would indicate this. We're going to add a shape. I'm going to add this little arrow. We're going to make this arrow color, let's make it yellow for right now. And it definitely is way too big, so let's decrease that size. Okay, so the first one, I'll put weakness number 1, and I'll put a little bow, so I know I'm talking here. And now I can delete these other yellow marks. Then I'll just duplicate this arrow. Weakness number 2, point it there. Weakness number 3, sword cut up there. Actually, it'd be better if this was on top. And finally, weakness number 4. How about that? That's better. Yeah, I like it. Okay. So as we break down these major important areas, we can start seeing the risk coming to light with a crypto like this right now. And then we can go further. So let's pull up that image one more time, and then we're going to construct. And now I'm going to need your help for this next one. I'm going to ask you guys a question. What do we do next? Okay, so if I'm looking at this one, hey, that's not good, then, and this may be the floor, then I can start doing some more things with this crypto to find more spots on the map. How do I go about finding more spots on the map? The answer is we can apply the various analyses that we have at our disposal within SWORD method. Let's take a look. Let's try to come up with some ideas. What might be something good we can apply to this crypto to help us further understand what might be some more strengths and weaknesses? There's a few that I can think of just off the top of my head, but let's see if you guys can come up with some as well. Put it in the chat if you think you know. Okay. Is there any kind of, what might we want to do with this chart next after we've identified some of these things? Okay. We can DP projection the event line. Yeah, we can DP projection the event line, Bridget. That's a great idea. Let's start with the simple stuff. We'll DP projection the event line. Okay. If I was to now take this image and take our chart, I can take the, let's make these the same color. I'll make this one green, that one green, and then this one white, and this one white. And they don't need to be so thick right now. Okay. We can DP projection the measurement of the oscillation between the event angle. So that means that as price is moving between this region, when it breaks down, we're looking primarily to go to complete this to the bottom of that region. Okay, so that means that we're going to take that angle or the distance, and we're just going to duplicate it on the bottom and click another line in place, which means we're going to need one more angle. Let me get that about right there. That's about right. So we're going to need one more event angle. So I'm going to duplicate this event angle, okay, the white one, and we're just going to put it on the bottom. Now it looks like we've already done it, and it's here. And now we can calculate the price based on the measurement of the original oscillation. So in other words, price playing back and forth between this region is perfectly normal, and if we break down, we're looking to come the same distance. Now to calculate where we're going next, it's quite simple, but we need to just understand the context. If price falls today, let's make this green so you guys can see. If price is falling exactly today, straight down, the number goes to this number, $1.06. But price can also just go straight across and hit the line as well. So somewhere along this area can give us the prices. We just can calculate the low for today, and the low later on is around $2. So we don't really care so much about the price, but we do care about the angle, because the angle lets us calculate the price on any given day with a higher degree of accuracy. Okay, and sometimes when it's really close to an existing target, such as here on the board, it's much easier for prices to close and come down and just wick a lower support area. But later on, it's much harder to wick those areas. It becomes more difficult. Okay, so something you can understand is basically how that works. So I'll draw some little lines. Let's use my crayon. Is that a crayon too? It should be. So we got some possible wicks going on here. Some bounces in these areas would look like that. And below here would also indicate another weakness. But here's where we're supposed to get a bounce. Okay. Now the other thing about this one is that major important energy center also has an oscillation that also wants to be hit. Okay, and that's going to give us a support that is a little bit higher. So there's a health that's along this track as well in that area. Okay, so the healths are going to be here and here. And if we don't get them, we can continue reading it as further weakness, just like we originally read the weakness in rate. Okay, so this is how we can use this to our advantage. So let's throw those prices also on the board, okay? Let's throw those prices also on the board. The price for these two areas, 106, and let me give you tomorrow's price, or next week's price, okay? So 110 and 134 are about the lows currently for Ray. Okay, let's take this health. We'll borrow these ones, and we'll move those to where the health goes. We'll just put some little circles, and the weaknesses will be on the underside here. And then I'm also going to put the big health on the target area as well. So now we might be left with a more simplified image that looks like this. Price should go up here. If it fails, we're going to be coming down here. Price should come up here. If it fails, we're going to be going down here or here. Okay, and then we're either going to go up or a new weakness will come in. Okay, I'm only want to do a few more things with this crypto, with this map, but that might be a good screenshot for you to have for Ray right now. And then a zoomed out version would look like what we were looking at earlier. Okay, so that's some of the things we can do for this. Now it looks like we calculated for a leveled out parabolic, and that seemed to do nicely, quite nicely, based on this curvature back then. Okay, it levels out somewhere about here. Okay, which means if we were just make this to a flat area, it doesn't go all the way circle, no, it goes flat, and then we start paying attention to flats there. Let's duplicate the parabolic, or even adjust the parabolic for the main stuff. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this straight up in the air and try to capture another oscillation. And what I'm going to do, what I mean by that is if we can capture the new areas, new energy centers, we can calculate another DP projection. Okay, so if we got price moving back and forth between this area, we just simply are going to move this down, and that's going to be the same distance from up here. We're going to click it in place, and it's going to give us a support line somewhere about right here. So that's going to help us. Another simple way, once you have the flat, is to simply just draw your measure line. If your flat already exists, just measure. We'll take the measuring line or bring it down. We're going to draw another flat. The flat will be placed here. The price should be approximately 30 cents. So somewhere around 30 cents, we might be interested for support. Now that's a huge dip if price is only right now $2.04. So if you're really looking for a support, we may have a support there, and it's good to know where these are way in advance, like months or weeks in advance. Okay, and I'm not saying price is going to come down all the way that far, but if we do fall, it's good to know where those supports are in advance. And then some of this is going to be faded away now, so we're going to fade away these parabolics. I'm just paying attention to these areas. And let me get a little bit more intentional about this. Okay, yep, that's about accurate. Okay, so I'll type in the word 0.31 to 0.29. All right. So the image is coming out quite nicely. Let's take about 5 more minutes for this crypto, and the techniques that we learned from this crypto we can use in lots of situations. Okay. Let's clean up the past. Okay, all right. Now, if this is a weakness and I'm thinking we're going to be moving down, as I go out further on the weekly chart, I want to calculate for some of the more larger energy centers that may be at play. Again, if we are going down in these areas based on the continuing appearance of weakness, I want to make sure that I definitely accounted for these as being an energy center, just like this. So let's take those two areas, And let's use the reverberation. Since we're really far away from somewhere like here, we're going to use the reverberations technique, which is going to help us. But we do want to see proof or evidence that we're dealing with what we're going to deal with. So the first thing we're going to do is draw our key angle, okay, when it comes to this. So I'm going to draw an angle. Let's use ice cream. Let's use that magenta color. Okay, and then we're going to bring it down to the lower energy center and something like that. So now we have a top and now we have a bottom. Now what the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our mid phantom, which is about 50% of the way. Should be about half. That's too high. Let's bring it down just a hair. All right, about right there. Okay, from here we're going to try to account for what is our step-ups. Okay, and our step-ups are going to be where we cross over from one side to the other. So let's count to see if our step-ups are active, and then we know if we're dealing with an oscillation like this, and then it's going to give us more confidence in our trade. Because right now we don't have any other times where prices bounced, so we don't have any other verifications. Okay, I don't have a real strong verification back here. I'm missing the angle somewhat. Okay, but for right now, because we don't have, that will be the next thing I would like to check for, verifications. Oops. So let's start, step-ups. So let's mark our step-up locations. We got one right here. Price crosses over here in this area. So that's going to be where we're going to draw our flat. And the other area is going to be here. Now we do have price respecting the mid-phantom, and that's something that maybe means that reverberations are going to work out, but we're not there yet. So now let's just draw our flat. So we're going to turn our ruler just flat, and we're going to turn on our gray color. And how we count for step-ups is we just draw a flat gray. Now we like to see price responding to step-ups quite nicely. We like to see these turn into things like this because it lets us know that our step-ups are active. Let's draw our next step-up area. The next step-up is down here, and we got another verification. Okay, so maybe that's where we're looking at. Okay, so since we have verifications, that's going to be enough for me to say, okay, with the weakness that appeared in the first images, from here, we're going to say to ourselves, this gives me some evidence that we're dealing with an oscillation here. Okay, now that does help us a few areas. We can know that there's health above here, and we can know that there's weakness above here, and support here, and weakness up here. But that doesn't necessarily help us to make money anytime soon if the crypto is a little bit like in the middle of the chart or no man's land. Okay, it doesn't help us to save money, protect money, or do something creative. So we're going to go to our next technique down, and then we're going to quickly take that angle and bring it to the relevant intra energy centers, which is the energy centers that are within the overall oscillation. So we're going to look at here, okay, maybe this smaller energy center, maybe that one right there, maybe one right here, definitely this one, okay, that one, that energy center that's going to be based on that one, and let's see, maybe that one as well, okay. Oh, and this one. This is small. So these are small areas that we can just simply take our angle that's going to resonate, and we call this reverberations because these are like resonating angles. Once you know the secret, you just move it, and we're going to look now for verification. If I don't find any verification for this, what does it mean? What does it mean? What does it tell us? What information can we gather if after doing my homework I don't find anything? What does it mean? Anybody? If I do my homework right now and I don't find anything, and reverberations does not work, what does it mean if they do not work?
Maybe look for another sort of energy source.
Yes, maybe look for another energy source. We got most of the energy centers, but maybe we're going to look for a different angle. Maybe we're dealing with something else. But if we do find it, it means that maybe it's an angle we're trusting. But if not, abandon the angle. I will not stress the importance of this angle or this angle if the reverberations are not working. However, since step-ups are working, that's already one clue that tells us we're on the right track. We're like investigators, okay? So let's take the angle. That's about it, right? And then we're now going to bring it down. Do I bring it down to wick or core? Which one? The actual answer is you can do both. Okay, but you're generally looking for wick, for cores. Okay, the more meaty part. In this case, I would use maybe a core more important than maybe the wick, since most of the bulk is there. Something like that. But you can use both, okay, to look. Do I have some kind of verification for this one? Here, the core side is top. Okay, so we can call, if we wanted to, we can call this a KR, which is the key angle reverberation on the core side. Do I got a verification for this angle so far? Absolutely. Look. Okay. Price responding to the cores. Price responding to the cores. Price responding to the cores. Yeah. Price responding to the cores. Nice. So far, it's looking okay. Let's take a look at some of this one right here. I'm gonna use a real thin line. Nothing here for that one. It's a small move anyway. Just a little beep, little blip. Here's one we might want to draw. Is there anything for this one? Not yet, but it can. If we needed some supports at the bottom, we can start using those. Okay. The very angle itself is along this approximately. The wick side, maybe some of this. Let's take the big one. This is going to stress the angle, so that's going to increase the importance of the mid phantom. And then these top ones, let's check the KR there. Okay. Nothing at the core. At the wick side, nothing. Nothing. Yeah. There's nothing here. And the underside, something. So maybe these are going to come out to play in the future. So let's put these down. So as we make a case for what we're doing, I'm going to say to myself, we got some examples of the verification of the verification of KR, and let's put a little text box, and let's make it white. KR, or key angle reverberation analysis, indicates that the key angle in pink is important. Not important. Important. And let's just give this a date. June. What's the Melody? 25th?
Yes.
Thank you. So that might be many verifications. Let's put this down. Many verifications were identified. So it's just saying that we did our homework, and there may be something to that. And that's what you want to do with all of your analysis that you're doing. When you're doing an analysis, do your homework looking for those angles. And parabolics work the same. KR is a kind of a little bit of an advanced technique. But it's going to stress those areas. So now let's make sure that those angles are on our major chart. And you can see that we missed it here, so they're not there. So let's make sure we add it now. Let's give that ice cream color, clone it out, bring it at the bottom. We're going to draw the mid phantom. Okay. And it's about right there. Then we're going to draw that, this size 3, make that dashed. The step up was active here. All right. And price needs to come back in front. Visual order, bring to front. Okay. And then the last step up was down here. Oh, it needs to come down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. All right. So now we have a few important areas that we can identify further. And the key angle reverberation, the more recent one, we're going to put as a big dotted, and that one I will make size 4, and I'm going to put it on the top areas about right here. So that one seems to be, that was the one that was done. Okay, the next more recent one is going to be therefore somewhere about right here. All right. So now I'm going to show you why I'm doing this one here. But let's take a, I don't need that one. Oh, let's take a look. I'm going to draw some big crayons. The overall round structure here is going to let me know there should have been a KR on the underside of that area, on the bottom. And I don't know if I drew that on the regular chart, but once we found that the key angle is resonating strong, I'm going to now place that, in my opinion, right there. Okay. Now this is going to stress these points here. The sword cut matches over here as a vortex. The DP projection based on that oscillation matches this as a vortex. Okay. The DP projection based on this oscillation matches that as a vortex. This angle. And so now we have one intersecting angle, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then based on the actual key angle reverberation, which is probably going to be one of the strongest ones, the local reverberation, it's about from that area, is going to cross over here. So now this area becomes an important support for us. We're going to stress that area. Plus, we got a target here. So if I'm looking at a target that has a range of this wide, I'm going to be more looking on the high side at the very least. So I'm going to pay attention more to the conservative area rather than something down here. I'm not looking there because most of the support is here. I'm hovering over this vortex range and region over these weeks. So maybe over the next month, already even this month, we can hit it. But somewhere over in this quadrant, that's basically it. So if this is a weekly chart, I only got a few more weeks while I'm hovering over this zone. So I'm going to place great importance on this area. Let's just mark that on our chart, and I will do one more final thing. I will do targeting system. We already did targeting system, didn't we? That's the target. Okay? So I'm going to say this in my commentary. And we'll move on. Yep. And I'll move on to the next crypto. Text. After performing, June 25th, 2020. And the crypto is called Ray. After performing many key angle analysis, we can see a pattern emerging over the areas around $1.80 $1.08 area. If price, this is a weekly chart, and we may be looking at 1 to 2 more months hovering over this range. I would expect price to find a good support here if weakness continues to bring us to this range. And we already identified lots of weakness. Okay? If weakness continues to bring this crypto, not us, to this range. Right, so that's what I'm going to have to say regarding that. All right, do I have any other questions regarding Ray? My opinion on Ray. Yeah, that's a good screenshot. Okay, so I'll hide myself and you guys can have one. Okay. What are the numbers for the target? It's about 1. Oh, the numbers for the target. I'll zoom in. And let me highlight this area. X marks the spot. Let's put this vortex here. June. Yeah, it's right now July 14th average. And there's the target right there. $8.87 to 51 cents to the low side. Again, I'm going to be looking at the higher side of 87 cents if we just are in that pocket somewhere around anytime between now and the next 2 months in August. I'm going to say to myself, if we happen to be there, I'm probably going to be looking to spike here to the lower side. But that's going to be a very big support / resistance if we're on the underside and we get some closes underneath that. Huge area. Quite big. Okay, let's clean up this. Yeah. And I'm going to just draw one more big arrow. Yeah, so all of that, and that's going to lead me to think that. Okay, let's move on. I loved the tutorial. We get to break it down piece by piece, slow by slow. As I said, piecemeal. I'm going to be thinking we're getting there, especially with all the weakness. So let's just recap those images. Okay, so we identified weakness on this chart, okay, appearing, our major support being broken, the sword cut becoming very active with round action on the bottom up to the top sword cut. Then we calculated for the event angle. We were supposed to get our bounce. We didn't. Weakness appeared. That was weakness number 2. And then price rounds up to the sword cut itself. That's going to be weakness number 3. And then if we draw a smaller watch line on the underside, that's going to be our weakness number 4. So we can see the weakness coming into this crypto in slow motion. Okay, we already, yeah. And then if we come to this target, we're probably going to be looking to spike to that target. So our final image, after identifying many of these, our major angle with probably a strong verification of the reverberation, it's all pointing towards this area here based on the step ups from the area in gray. We got step ups on the lower side and upper side, very active. So the step ups on the lower side is where we're intercepting here, and maybe there's some stuff going on here, but based on all the DP projections, I'm going to be definitely looking in this quadrant. Okay, all right, anyone else going once for this crypto, going twice? Okay, let's go to CRM. CRM. All right, what did we find here last time on this stock? We broke this down. We found a few important areas. That sword cut's still going to be active. Let's bring this up here. This sword cut somewhere around 163 average. Let's bring it out here. Text 165 to 162. About the range I'm looking at. Somewhere around there. Okay. Alright, what else do I got here for this crypto, for this stock? It looks like I was looking at flats and the DP projection for the flat. Actually, it doesn't need to be a DP projection. It's going to give us prices closer to 408. But yes, price is respecting that flat quite nicely. Back in April and here in June of 2024. So we've been bouncing off that quite nicely. We had some health appear on the opposites. Well, that one we didn't use. Okay. I'm going to clean up this stock a little bit. Looks like I might have used it as an example. We had a nice sword cut based on this area up here, and price responded quite nicely to that sword cut area. $288. I'll remove the healths and weaknesses so you can see. This colors should have been reversed. The red's supposed to be on. Oh no, that's right. It's just that the weakness for the sword cut is in play. Okay, so that's something that's quite nice for Ray. And this health is still in play as a flat. Probably not this angle. We're going to need to take a look at that. Let's delete that for right now. Okay, so if I'm reading it in sequence. Oh, I know what that is. I know what that is. That's going to be our event angle. Yeah, that's right. Check this out. I'm going to hide my lines real quick. Okay, our sword cut area created approximately here, where price has give us a verification, that weakness. When we break down, just like in the previous crypto, we're going to calculate for the last event line. And that means we're just going to first get our energy centers up on the board. 1, 2, 3. Here's some smaller ones. The last big energy center angle that break us down is this one. Okay. If we draw that as an angle, green, it tells us what was supposed to happen. Okay, so the first thing that happened was weakness appeared here in this area. That would have been weakness number 1. Another weakness would have been here. But before we got there, if we wanted to calculate what happens next after we break down, all we do is we take the angle of the event angle, and just most of the time this is all you really need to get started. You just take that angle and you bring it to the lowest energy center, and it tells you where your next big supports and resistances are. Now, if you got 2 areas, like a wick to draw that at, down here, and you got a meaty part, which is going to be the core, look for verifications at the core. So in this case, I can see at this core, maybe here, this is a wonky candle, okay? It's a very wonky candle, because up bars generally start on the last move here, so it's actually supposed to be here. If the down move comes here, the next bar opens here. It's saying the open is here. This wonky stuff happens a lot in the stock market, so just be aware of that. You want to try to get the bulk of where it is, where the cores are at, and that's going to solve most of what you're looking at. So I might actually be looking at something like that or this at the very least. Okay, if when in doubt, just draw everything as a big range and you're drawing as a block. Okay, but when we draw that, it lets us know where we're supposed to bounce. Okay, this crypto or this stock is supposed to bounce here, but that did not happen, so the next weakness was revealed. Okay, so weakness number 1, weakness number 2, weakness number 3 is here, and that's about everything. Okay, that we're going to see. Now we're going to draw another support so we can start calculating our next weakness, because the EV line has been broken. So let's give some labels to these, just so you can have it for your records. Event angle, and then here's our EV phantom, or the event line. This is where the support was supposed to come in. It did not happen. This tells us more weakness is being revealed. So weakness number 1, weakness number 2, weakness number 3, and where's weakness number 4? Weakness number 4 is going to be, well, actually it's probably another weakness too. So that was a smaller one, right? The bigger ones, based on the larger energy centers that we drew a few moments ago, need to come in play. Now we can either draw it like this, but this is going to be a type of weakness here. But rather than that, let's simplify it just for today, for today's modern event. And we got some larger structures that are going to just simplify everything for us. We have round structure here, some smaller round structure here, a large peak here, and now we have a peak here as we got that move. What should I do to help me simplify this, these energy centers? What's the answer? Yeah, superfood. What can I do to simplify this equation? The answer is quite simple. Anybody know? Think you can figure it out? Good job, iPad. We just draw a parabolic. Or not like that, but like that. Okay? So we can simplify this into basic shapes. And now we got what is here going to be a flat. It's going to level out somewhere here. So this is going to reveal where our next big weakness is on the board. Okay? So let's see if we can just draw that as best possible. And if we're doing it manually, like I'm doing it right now, we can draw like this, okay? So we can draw one here, and then we can start filling in. Artists do this. And sword method is an art, and we call it an art, don't we? Okay. So this is going to flatten out, and I did the hard work for you, so you don't have to do it anymore if you don't want to. Somewhere around $225. All right, now that I have this curvature, I can take that curvature and the whole angle itself, if I wanted to, duplicate it out and bring it straight up in the air. And generally, we're going to look for verification along the track. In this case, we may have some verification here. But in other ways, we're going to level out a flat somewhere up there too. So let's put that flat in place. Okay. So now we're left at something like that. With health and weakness. Weakness and health. Good. Okay, I like it. So now we're going to put that on the board officially and make sure that we have all of those things. Let's start with that parabolic. We already have the parabolic here. See? We don't have the leveled out flat, which is somewhere in this area. So we know where that's at already. 232. Let's see, 233 to 226 is what I drew here on the board. Okay, the next one, let's draw the upper one. See, it's like right there. So it's going to be about right there. Okay. So somewhere now about 380 to 368. Isn't it great to know where these areas are at on your charts? You can do these same techniques for almost every crypto. For every crypto, every stock. Okay. So we got some good information coming up, a part of this coming up now. Okay, so let's now calculate for some other things regarding support. I'm going to show you now, since this event line has been broken. Which color did I use in the image? Green. Okay, so we'll use green. I'll take that and make it green. And what I'm going to do with this is now I'm going to take a larger view. And we'll go to a 2-week chart to simplify things just a bit. This weakness is not in play. But if it was, I can calculate where the next event angle needs to be. It's approximately here. Now I want to check this angle a little bit because we're digging a little bit to the core right here. Let's make this real thick so you guys can see it. I'll give it a color that's white, okay? I'm digging right here. And that's about where it is, and almost hits this area. With stocks, you got to be a little bit more liberal, right? If this becomes the more dominant oscillation, I'm going to bring this also down. Maybe I'll bring it up a little bit to account for that on average. And then I'm going to draw my mid-phantom, which is going to be more about right there. And I'm going to bring this up into play, and I'm responding quite nicely to my mid-phantom, ain't I? This is now a 2-week chart. You can see, if we're giving this some labels, this is going to be our key angle. There's our phantom angle. There's our mid-phantom angle. And we got some nice support there, don't we? So, if this is being active, let's do quick reverberation. Check. Look at that. Nice. Nice. And that's about all you get. You get the one on top too. Nice. Yeah. See, don't say I never did anything nice for you guys. I would say this one is not done yet, so we're gonna be probably looking at that one. That will probably need to be something that's on the board. Okay. But I'm gonna give you guys those. So if we get a big crash, I might be looking for some support still if we go below here, we're probably going to come there. Okay. Let's just put that on the board real quick. Stretch this out. Make it thin. And give it a level. Okay, I think that was all I wanted to do for this one. Let's check for the targets on the bottom side. And we'll move on to USDT.D. Okay, good. Alright, so I measure from here up to there, right there where my mouse is on the screen. And I got two targets. The one on the top side has already been drawn, and the one on the bottom has not been drawn. That target is going to be approximately here. And we'll get some more targets on the opposite side. And we'll just draw these two, and the other one's going to be on the underside here. If you guys want to draw that one, it's on the underside. But I'm going to draw just the next two. And they're going to be about right there. Okay. This one's kind of a weak target, but it's something to draw. Okay. So as it is, we were looking for support. This target, because I drew it only from here, technically has already been hit. So I will fade this away, that one. And you guys can draw your targets yourself. But this is going to more stress this range, and I'm going to be probably more focused with the bottom number. So the range is 187 to 176. So I'm probably going to be looking more like 176. So that means, again, if I end up playing down here, I'm going to be looking to this side, because this side is more close to the vortex, which is the reverberation. So this is, again, the KR, and this is going to be the target. So therefore, I'm going to be looking to the conservative side, 176, rather than the 177. Oh, sorry, the conservative side is going to be up here. In this case, this is going to be the liberal side, because it's farther away. So I'm going to be more looking at 176 again. Okay, everybody understand my thinking or reasoning on that? Okay, do we have any questions for this stock? I think I'm going to leave that there for this stock. Yeah, I think that's all I really wanted to do with this one at the moment. Give you guys some important areas. All right, I think we're about going to be coming up to our report for USDT.D. We've already looked at USDT.D extensively on Saturday. We made a public video. Let's go over some of the more important things happening. Okay, one of the things that I put on Saturday was we got our first weekly close above this area here on this candle on the weekly chart, okay, in this area for USDT.D. That means that price is now able to go into bearish territory. I put this as new bearish territory for cryptos. So we got to start being really careful now that this line has been cracked. Okay, now that line is cracked, we got to be careful. When this goes up, your cryptos are coming down. The weakness that appears is underneath this watch line and that watch line. And when this goes down, cryptos come up. Okay, so that was what we placed on Saturday. We did draw the event angle. So we did show some support in these areas. So if we ever come back down to these areas, we know where we're at. We know where the resistance is supposed to be at. It's supposed to be here. Now, based on the event angle, which is this angle, if we place it in the correct location, which is here, and based on a report on Saturday, that means we should be looking for this to come back down. Now, if this comes down, your cryptos are going up. And we're looking primarily here. Okay, so we're looking for a pullback. I said, give me 1 or 2 days, and maybe we're probably going to see the pullback in about 1 or 2 days. And that's what I said at the video. Okay, so we said this is an important change. This is negative territory for cryptos. However, number 2, this should reverse. It shows signs of this already, a lot of pressure. Looks like we're going to see cryptos come back up as there's a pullback in this area. Number 3, I said, however, this is still important support and does not necessarily negate its effect, which is this flat, okay? It does not necessarily negate its effect. So most likely we're either going to jump up here, but this therefore should be where support happens. So this is where we're supposed to have support, and if it's cracked, then it stresses the outside boundaries, which we talk about in the next photo. Okay, so number 4, possible shakeout, which is a continuation, which means that this territory is probably not done yet. And then number 5, there's less incentive for a move back down towards 4.93 after the previous candle has already hit. So we also need to say that it's not so guaranteed that we're going to get that pullback. Those were the images I posted from Saturday. And I also gave you the scenario if the support is cracked. If the support is cracked and we get closes down here, then that means that these boundaries up here at $5.65 and $4.30 approximately become stressed, because the parabolic now, the boundary is being disrespected yet still respected. So if we're respected yet disrespected, then something's not right, and we start playing with a larger oscillation. This parabolic becomes duplicated on the bottom, and we take that distance and we duplicate it up to the top, and that becomes the curvature. But in this case, where you can also simply just find where they level out and take that distance and measure that, and I measured it, and it's exactly or approximately 5.65. So this is the scenario that we are having primarily. I give you guys the full scenario. So this is where we start looking at 465 as a possible pullback location for USDT.D, and if there's any further weaknesses, it needs to be here. But other than that, this line being cracked reveals that now things are more dangerous for a stronger up move, and therefore cryptos can dip even farther. And then we're going to see things change really if we're building below 465 right now in these seasons. So those are going to be our 2 important numbers, and this is how I played it here. So on this video, I showed you again, if we crack, we're looking at 462 or somewhere around 465 to 462, somewhere around there. And then up there, we can continue showing more health, and then we can stress those 565 numbers. So this is our most important. I said if price breaks and closes above the upper pink line, look for continued lower cryptos and move towards the 5-6 average. So that hasn't happened yet. We did, but we're gonna now update the chart where we're at today. So now you guys got my report, the full story basically about where we suspect we're going to go and what's most likely to be the case, and the most important numbers. Okay, so you guys all have those numbers in the health where they're supposed to go, and yeah, so that's basically it. Okay, and then our larger stuff, we don't need to talk about that right now. Those are already on the board. Okay, so now let's go to the chart for today, USDT.D, and you will see that the line has been cracked and not respected this one, okay, the flat. Okay, where it levels off, we did not stop here. However, on the daily chart, we came down and we didn't close there. Now I took this image, and I forgot I have one more image for you guys. I took this image and I placed it on for you guys to see, because I said maybe about 2 days. But after the video was filmed, we immediately came back down to those areas within a few hours. So I took this from my phone about Monday at 1:39 p.m. We came immediately back down. So right after the filming, we came back down. So I updated you guys, and you guys know where the next big weakness on this happened. So when this comes down, cryptos are going up, right? So this is where we're at. The watch line has now been broken. It appears to be with the candle close yesterday. So what is in play? That same that I showed you guys. I showed you this one cracked, and then we moved down. So this is the weakness that's going to be bullish for cryptos, possibly to that number that we give you, 4.69. Okay, this does not mean this acts like resistance anymore. This does not. It's already been cracked with solid closes here and here. So this is really critical to understand. If we go back up, your safety net is gone. Okay, this has been cracked, but this safety net is gone, which means if we bounce from here, we're not stopping here to check in. We don't need to stop and check in anymore. Those can go away. Okay, we don't have to pay the toll we can go straight back up to our standard resistance. Now this one's probably still going to be holding and holding maybe on the upper area where the core is and where this wick is, rather than here. So the few things have been cracked. Okay, that angle and that. Now we can update it by simply deleting this, but this is going to be my commentary. Okay, so there's still health here, which means if we bounce in this area, we're going up, and that's going to be negative for cryptos. Okay, and a move down past this area is actually going to be a bullish thing for cryptos. Let me see, I should draw this in white. There we go. But we're not afraid of this area anymore. Okay? That's the big takeaway I want you guys to take away from this chart. It's really important to know we're not as afraid of 4.97 or 4.94 anymore, because we broke it. Let's see if I can add some comments so you can have this. Let's put this in the upper left hand. And June. Actually, let's fade this away. The flat, that's one way we can denote this, by the way. The flat that's here, we can fade that away. I'm even deleting the alert because it already got the alert notification, okay? So how I'm viewing this is like this. Let's add a little text box here. Background, let's make it white, and the text will make it black. Okay. The flat parabolic resistance and support at 4.95 has been broken as discussed on Saturday, June 20. What's today? June 23rd, 2025. This stresses the importance of 5.65 or about 5.63, sorry. At 5.63 yellow and 4.41 area yellow. Okay, which is going to be those. Okay. Now, because the flat has been broken, if price rises, we will not be looking at 4.95 to be a strong resistance. I will also, and remember that we thin this one out, make sure the image has everything. So if it's right now, it's going to be around that price, 5.18. Okay. We will also be strengthening the resistance above at the upper pink, since this has the most core / wick match. Okay. That one where the core and the wick is matching this angle. Okay. And that's going to be our EV Phantom. This is the EV Phantom, currently around 5.18. That means health is above there, with a move most likely towards 5.63 area. All right. So now let's just draw some pictures with some circles to simplify this, what I'm drawing. All right. Looks like this. And we'll move on. Okay, so moves down here are likely. We can draw a smaller shortcut, by the way. Health is here. Moves up here. Moves down there towards these areas. And when we get there, we'll talk about what's more important within this range. And moves up here, we can talk about what's important for this range when it's time. But those are the big moves. Okay, we remember that we cut through here. This is cracked. And we're focusing on this one. So if I'm putting stars on the most important places, they're going to be there along those tracks. Okay, then we'll talk about where we're going next. Okay, but remember, this is critical. This is broken. So we're not checking in to pay the fee primarily. Okay, so if I come back up, I'm not really looking for that to be resistance at the moment. I'm looking mostly to just clear the area, which means this gets wider. Okay, all right. Any other questions regarding my report on USDT.D? I hope I've been thorough and I served you well regarding this chart. This will be like, you can use this as a guide for, again, for the most important moves for USDT.D. Okay. We could still, by the way, we could still come up in these areas. But right now the EV support is down here. So I'm going to be stressing more of that, this angle, okay? Which is the EV, just the event angle. Yeah, and if it's this, then even that's the event angle and it just stresses more of this area. So we're still going to be looking for this to be support. So no matter how I slice and dice it, I want to be looking around 4.62, which means cryptos may still come up. Be very careful for a move like that. This could really blindside people. Okay? This could really possibly blindside if the down move is not over. Okay? So let me show you that, so that you don't get too stressed out or that you don't find yourself in a bad position. The parabolic has been broken. That big yellow one's been broken. We talked about, okay, so that's that. If, however, prices come down, you're going to find people chasing the market and they're going to possibly buy here. That's dangerous. You only want to buy if you're getting some closes and some resistance there, and then you can cover this support area. But other than that, when this crypto goes down, when this goes down, your cryptos are going up, okay? And when this is going up, your cryptos are coming down. So if this comes down and there's only a little bit more left, and you can clear it in a single day, right? You can clear it in a single day. This is a daily chart. So if we come here, be careful you don't chase the market, okay? When you come here, be careful you don't chase the market. Set alerts for yourself along that track, so you know when it's time, things are going to get dangerous. Okay? Set an alert for yourself so you don't get whipsawed, taken for a loop, tricked. Okay? You just got to know what's on the board, who you're playing against, what's the major angles. Okay? I'll take questions for USDT.D. 0.62 EV. Okay. Or EV angle. And since it's the original angle, we'll just call it EV angle only. Okay, set alerts. Okay, got it? Anybody have any other questions?
Hi, Jason.
Yeah, hello. Hey, Augie.
I have a question. How can you relay that information to another crypto if it's dropping to the 4.6? How can you relay that to any crypto to see how much or a percentage is gonna go up?
Okay, so the question is, how can we correlate this with another angle? Two ways we can do it. The more traditional way that I like to use is my alert and just referencing this as a map. Have you ever gone to a mall or on a trip in a foreign country or something, and you pull out a map, paper map, and it says, hey, you're looking for a monument. Now you're somewhere else, but your mind is also on the map. If you see that monument, you turn left. But if you're going, you're just waiting until you turn that marker, a monument. The monuments act like a marker. Hey, there's a mountain that's shaped like that, and then that tells you you're somewhere here. Oh, okay. So while there's no direct correlation to every step you take, there is a step towards the monument or the marker. One of the ways we can use USDT.D is like a monument marker. If the market, like everyone knows by and far, when this came down, the markets did what over the last 2 days? Sunday and Monday, they rose. Okay? Sunday and Monday, they rose. We were expecting the pressure on that line as we spoke in our previous, but we're also watching the full story. Okay? Now, what we can do is we can set alerts for ourselves so we know what's happening. I had an alert set right here on the flat, but the close actually was below there before the day was over. Then the next alert could be along this angle. And if you're cracking it, you watch that and you say, oh, I'm here. I'm going to be looking for this territory. If I'm rejecting here or when I touch here, you're going to get alerts for whatever crypto you are. So you have to see where you're at for that day for the crypto. So if you're in a crypto XYZ and you're in a bullish position on a crypto and you hit a big or important area, you may want to consider, what does this crypto tell me? Now I have to make a decision. So basically this tells you where the big decisions are most likely to take place, or should I say when. So your alerts on this chart, or when you're hitting these areas, tell you when you have to make decisions. So that's how you can correlate that. That's the first way you can correlate that, is by using that to make the decisions. Number two, you guys ready for the way we can correlate that?
Yes, sir.
Number two is calculating how many moves we have on this chart, or these type of charts, okay? So for example, if I can see to myself, it's a clear sailing ahead. It's like looking at the weather, right? You got to steer the ship yourself. Or the crypto has to steer. It has to be sound ship. It's got its own things. If the sails are broken, you can see that. If the sails are in great shape, you can see that. But it's not just your ship. It's the weather. And this is a lot like the weather. The weather's fair sailing. You may have great weather, but a weak ship, so your crypto doesn't make much headway, even in a bullish market. You may have a very bad market, and your ship is so good that it's not losing as much ground as other ships. They're really being tossed, but your ship is still, maybe didn't go up much, maybe it didn't do anything at all, maybe it just stagnated, but others were falling when your crypto was rising. So identifying using your ship, which is to examine that crypto in its own, and then using USDT.D to examine it to see where it's heading. But you can use how many moves are in advance. So if you can calculate and say, maybe we already hit the sword cut or something like that, you can say we should be having one more move. Or if you see, there's real strong resistance here, there's real strong pressure, there should be at least one more move back down for cryptos. So this is why on Saturday I told people, don't panic, just wait, it looks like we're going to pull back here. And we pulled back farther than I expected. I think we're only going to go up to 4.9 right now. But this one is broken, so that means that this now is in play. Okay, moves down here. So you guys can use those type of moves. If you can see that 1, 2, or 3 moves in advance, then plot 1, 2, 3 reversals in advance on your crypto, whatever crypto you're trading. Okay, so for right now, let's do an example because we got 2 more. I think we got 2 more cryptos, so we can do this live. Okay, so we got XRP and BTC, and then MOODENG. But let's just see if we can take this in its stride. At the moment, it looks like maybe we're gonna be coming down, which means crypto should be bearish or bullish. Which one?
Bullish.
Bullish. All right, so they should be bullish. for maybe about here. Now, if we measure it, we got about the same. This is a third way, by the way. If you measure how much distance you got, you can get a good clue about how much price can move. So, for example, if price moved up if this moved down this much, you can see how much price moved up. We got about the same distance, right? So however much they moved up from Saturday is probably how much they're going to move up from now. So if you see a crypto moved up 8%, you're probably going to be looking at another 8% move. You can do things like that. That's the third probably way. But for the most part, you can see that if my crypto moved up that far on your chart, you can use that same distance. So let's use that idea. And let's just be general average about it. We're going to calculate from Saturday, because we got the notification on Saturday, that crypto on Saturday, and we're going to basically double the distance from we fell on Saturday for whatever crypto. Let's start with Bitcoin, and we'll do that live, okay? So let's go to Bitcoin, BTC. Let's use Bitcoin as the example. XRP. Okay. So here's Bitcoin. Here's Saturday. The price was around what? 101, and we moved up about 100 to 105. So we moved about right there, right? Let's calculate the percentage. Approximately the whole candle. Let's be conservative. So from the measurement of this percentage move, it's about 4%. So it moved about 4%. If this moves another 4%, we're going to be moving about 10%, which is going to be about the all-time high. So is it unreasonable to believe that we may be hitting around 110%? No. All-time high for Bitcoin, is it possible?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so that's how we can use that to our advantage. We also see there's probably a straight move to that area, right? So we might want to say, hey, Bitcoin might still be bullish right now. We're not really looking for a big reversal. Now, this is dependent on how clear your USDT.D chart is using. Some people will only use a map and won't even look up for the most part. You know what I mean? They'll glance up, but they're just there the whole time. I've seen the show The Amazing Race, and shows like that. Not The Amazing Race, the other one, the Eco Challenge race with Bear Grylls. And there's people that are just glued to the map. Some of them get so lost because they never look at the actual surrounding. Because remember, we're looking at the ship and we're looking at the map. Okay? If you're only looking at the map, you're going to get lost if you're not getting your bearings straight on the ship. But if we're comparing what we find, hold on. If we're comparing what territories we're in, and we can say, hey, maybe there's one move up. If it's not clear, it's not clear. Don't deceive yourself. If it's clear or you think it's clear, you got it. But there's basically one move into health. You can say, hey, did my crypto move into health? That's a way we can do this, okay? So let's look at Bitcoin. Did it really move into health right now? Let's just track some of this. Let's put some important areas. So this is a Bitstamp chart. Let me go to my other Bitcoin chart. Index. See where I'm at on his chart. Okay. Yeah, I'll show this one on Bitcoin. Did my Bitcoin really move into health? It bounced from a support. Here was the previous support. So my smaller energy center is going to be here and here. So my support was here. So if this was at a support, it wasn't so unreasonable for it to come up, especially if we hit our target. Right? So the target's hit. We're still on the side of health, right? Which is on the opposite side of the weakness. There's our weakness and there's our health. So now, if we're still going up, are we scared of the sword cut? Why or why not? The sword cut based on this larger energy center. Are we scared of coming back down to that area? No. Why not, Bridget?
Nope.
Why not, Augie?
We already broke through.
Yeah, because we already broke through. Now, at the time, we hit it, but now we're not as scared of it anymore. This has been broken. Okay? So we're not as scared. So where should we be looking next? At some kind of different analysis, right? We need to be looking at another top or bottom. We got to go back to the, not exactly the drawing board, but we have to go back to something else that might be critical. Maybe, again, the all-time high. So now we have a clue that we may be looking at another, that 5%, which is maybe we're looking at a flat. Okay. Now, are we scared of, and that's for this, right? What about the downward angle here? Are we scared of that, though? Yes or no? Yes. Why, Bridget? Why are we scared of that one? Why is price still got to be afraid of that? And you're right. We do have to be afraid of that. Because it hasn't been broken yet. It's still being very respected. Okay? It can give us a clue about how to take action. But until then, it's not on the board. Okay? So we need to be careful how we navigate. So it is weakening. And we can see if USDT.D gives us any clues at that time. But for right now, it'd be something like that. Okay? So let's just update this real quick. Let's take off that one. We don't need that one. The sword cut needs to be faded away. Even more so. Oop, not all the way. The flats over here are not being respected. Let's go to a weekly chart to see if the flats are still active. On the high side, yeah, this flats is probably still active. Wick core, and maybe that flat is going to be active, not because of the sword cut, but because it's the flat. Okay. And let's make sure that price is still on there. $109,162 for the high side to $108,486. All right. So, is it possible we can just spike just quickly above there? Absolutely. Absolutely. And if we look at the angle, that might be probably pertinent on the bigger side. Maybe that angle there around 111 is going to be coming back for us for Bitcoin. Based on the upward angle. Now, I'm going to hide my lines real quick just to kind of give you guys a fresh view. If we're really honest about this angle, then you can see that these closes are higher. Sometimes you just need to turn off your lines and just get into it. Be honest where angles you're looking at. This is the green one on my chart already. So we can really go up another percentage and maybe hit that 111,000. And then people are going to be doing what at 111,000? People will be doing what? Buying. Yeah, that's right, Bridget. They're probably going to be buying. A lot of newbies are, oh yeah, the market's new all-time high. It's possible, but for us, who have a method of reading, we probably want to wait until we crack that to start giving us evidence that we're building above there. Because otherwise, this is where things can get sour really quick. Our USDT.D will be at a support when that happens. Right? Our USDT.D will be on another location. And this could reverse strong. We still haven't cracked it. We're allotted to do this, but we haven't cracked it. And let's go back to that USDT.D area. Remember, this can come down about another 5%, and that's just being conservative. Okay, that's not including the wick, maybe back to these bigger support areas. We can come down here, and cryptos will still go up, and then we can reverse. Even down back into the meaty area of 4.49 to 4.36. Okay, let's just go one more moment to this. So I think I'm going to put a health. Does anybody need to see more Bitcoin? Do you guys got it, what I'm trying to do? What we're reading right now? Okay. Health is above there. This one was already hit, so this will come to the next bar. And let's borrow that weakness. Put that up there. Okay. Yep, that's about what I want to see. Okay. Any other questions, Bitcoin, on my opinion? I want to pull up USDT.D one more time to show you this support here. This has been a support based on the target system that we knew there should be a bounce in this area, and this was way back when. Here is May of 2025, okay? So this support is also a flat. It's also the leveled out parabolic. There's strong support, in other words, in this at this area. So even if this does come down below this area, we're still looking for some kind of reversals in the market. Whether the Bitcoin is going to be at 110K or even closer to maybe 115K, something's not right here. It needs to give us some new evidence that we're in new territories. Okay? And we'll look at that more broadly soon. But remember, the larger story right now is that we're still in a big downtrend. So we hunt up moves, and we got to be careful where those up moves are. I'm going to draw one more line for us on USDT.D. So I wanted to come back. I'm going to borrow this angle. And this is very much in alignment with this foundational area. Okay, so this is a new one. And let's now wick match it. Well, now that we got the angle, it's about right there. So I'm going to wick match about right there. So this wick, that wick, and some of these wicks here. So that's where I'm going to put it to be more accurate. Now the number I'm going to give you is still about the same, 4.6 something, right? Did you see how that is about the same? So this is still going to stress, and let's fade away that parabolic too, by the way, a little bit on this. This is a weekly chart. This still is going to stress out this support. Okay. So if I'm looking at where they're overlapping, this area still is critical. So am I really looking for the markets to continue going up? Not right now. I'm looking for this to reverse. Even if we got a big candle that wicks down into here, I'm going to be looking for this to go up. But that's actually a negative for cryptos. So I got to be really careful chasing the market while this is still in play. Now, if this changes, we'll be the first to know, right? We'll know when the game is going to change. But I like this foundational area. Okay? The foundational area is going to be approximately correct. This is probably the verification for the foundational area. This is a giant verification that says, hey, this should be that bounce. So in May, all those weeks that we've been moving up for the last 2 months, it's about right based on this next foundational area. Now we already knew that because again, we had this, but we didn't draw this. Now that we have this complete, the move up, we can now use that to our advantage. We have 2 larger energy centers that played out over the years, over the last few months. Okay? So everybody got that so far? You probably want to add that to your chart. I just added it to mine. And again, that's why I said earlier, it's great to zoom out and get a fresh eyes on your charts. It lets us know when the game should change. So let's put this star, and we're going to move it to this track, okay? Just so we can see where the track is. That's probably going to be very important for us. Anybody have any other questions about what we might be looking at? At the moment, this is an area of health, and it's still active. We're still on the side of health. We're on the upper side of the line. We're still bouncing where we should bounce. Okay? We're still bouncing where we should bounce. So therefore, nothing has changed. Okay? As far as bullish market, are we in a real bullish market yet? No, we may be in a bullish day or two. We may be in a bullish week. But the bullish market needs to really show us either those moves below that flat that we've been really predicting, or maybe this larger one here. As we look at the bullishness, The bullishness is when this is in a downtrend. And we have been in a downtrend, but we've been in a smaller up move. So for example, yes, this is a larger bullish movement, and we simply hunt the up moves. Okay? Yes, this has been down, and that's where we enter crypto, and that's where we enter crypto, and maybe now this is where we're going to enter crypto again. So I don't want to be fooled with the smaller weeks, because this can happen. Why? Because it has a history of happening all the time. Those could be bullish weeks, but not necessarily bullish seasons. So if you guys are waiting for the bigger stuff to happen, this is probably going to be where it's going to happen. Okay? Probably going to be where it's going to happen. And in the meantime, we'll watch for some other stuff. Now, the other day I got an email from a gentleman, and he drew, Phil, and he drew this. An angle about here. I don't know if I fully agree with the angle just yet, but it looks good. I want to compare this to some of the more monthly stuff, but he had something, and it was something like this, okay? I needed to do my own homework, and I got to. This actually, therefore, may even suggest things are going to get bad for the crypto market. Maybe not far in the future. Okay? Possible. We'll come back to this a little bit more. Being a little bit more intentional and accurate about it. But it's not far away. If it's accurate. And we'll come back to that, okay? But I'm just giving you guys all the things we can see on the horizon. So either things are going to get bearish or bullish, but one thing's for sure, they're coming to a head. Decision time in the next maybe few months. Maybe 1-2 months. We can fit 4 candles a week. As far as 4 candles, if this is a weekly chart, each candle is 1 week, so this is going to be about 1 month. And here's about 2 months. So in about 2 months, we're probably going to make a decision. All right, got it, everybody? Hope that helps. Now, we're coming up to the end. Let's look at XRP, and then I'll look at that MOODENG crypto, and that's all I will look at for today. And then I'll go take my leave for today. All these images will be uploaded after class.
Good morning, Jason. I got a question for you.
Yeah, what's up? Yes, I do prefer my coffee with almonds, if that's your question. What's your question? What was it? What was your question? I think maybe you cut off.
Yeah, can you hear me though?
I can hear you now.
Okay. The Lord said about 80% in some cryptos. Is that what you're seeing?
About 80%.
Yeah, he said 80%. He said 80%.
I don't know the context, so if it's like I don't really see moves just right now, just yet, to 80%. But if a crypto moves up or down 80%, I can try to measure that. Okay. Maybe that's what it'd be. Okay, I'm looking at XRP now. And of XRP, on Saturday, I mentioned the weakness that came in on a smaller daily chart parabolic in that blue one. You can't really see it on this is a weekly chart, but it's about there. And then I also drew the parabolics collecting these points on the larger weekly chart. It's going to be here. So this one we can see. This one you can't see on the daily chart, but on the on the weekly chart. But on the daily chart you can. So that means that this was a negative for crypto. We also drew this angle here, identifying this as a possible oscillation that we need to be paying attention to. And I put a big star showing that 212 is about where that angle is if it's next week. Okay, for this week, we can still see it's at play with some pressure on that line. So I'm going to be still looking at XRP saying it's not the best position. Will we have a breakout of this area, or will we just continue to flounder in this area? I don't know at the moment. We're going to need to see if there's any clues. Other than that, if things fall for this, I'm going to be looking for us to fall. It looks like the reverberation is playing nicely in that area. So price has been hitting that most good. but we're going to be looking primarily for this area, which is $1.68, $1.65. In my opinion, that's where we're still going to go if we're still playing in this. Okay. It's also noticeable that the flat is very active. We've hit it multiple times, but sometimes we come up here. When I did the volume analysis on Saturday, I saw that we still had some room we still had some high volume on the down bar, which was last week, okay, on that bar. And what we were looking at was there's still a supply in this area. So I'm looking to stay down here. Not necessarily give us a huge incentive, but at least to stay down here for a few more weeks. Now this has not triggered, so I'm not shorting XRP, but that's where it would trigger. It would trigger at 186, and then if we get to 186 or we're trading below here, then I'm going to look to that move down there. If not, we're going to continue to play in this corner, which is just a little bit of a delay territory. So I'm not looking for much things going on right now. For XRP, it's getting squished. Now if we squish out and we start building above, then I'm going to be looking at XRP going from 212 back to the 260s. Okay, with maybe 5% on the board. If we hit another 5% through it this week, then we're probably going to get our close above there, and then we can hit that 260. So don't be surprised if prices go, but those are going to be my big numbers for us right now. But I don't know if that's going to be doing anything here. Okay, let's go to a daily chart. On the daily chart, this line is being disrespected, so you can only see it on the weekly. So we're going to type in the word weekly for that angle, and let's put it on the left side. Okay, and then there's that. That should have been the gesture line. I wish I could label these. Yeah, that's the gesture line right here. I don't know if you guys can see it moving around. And that's the lower side of that gesture, which would have been the first area that reveals the weakness. And we can fade that away. We don't need that anymore at the moment. We'll do more gesture line on Wednesdays. And price has been playing in that area quite nicely. 212. Yeah, so I'm not looking for anything spectacular just yet for XRP. Yeah, not going to look at anything for spectacular for XRP. Okay. Any other questions? XRP, my opinion. You're welcome, Augie. Okay. All right, we're almost done. One more. Let's look at a crypto called MOODENG. Okay, I got MOODENG on Kraken, 14 cents. I've done it before. Where was my previous chart on this? Oh, on KuCoin. Look at it on KuCoin. 14 cents. Okay, looks like we did this a while. So it's fairly new. Okay, back then I had a little bit. Appears to be an accumulation for professionals. I don't see a major dump. Fair. Okay, so all of that's over. I should put a date on here. Alright, let's clear up this chart. We'll do a clean chart since all I had was just a few bits of data. Now I got some pretty good stuff I can draw. Alright, let's draw the big stuff. We're going to take our top energy centers. Okay. Peak here. We're going to draw those. Okay, we're going to look at this area therefore being a reverberation. Okay. We're going to draw our mid-phantom, which is about 50%. I'm going to draw step-ups. Okay, this is going to be an area I'm going to be looking at. What price is this? About 9.4? Somewhere around 9.4. 0.94. I want to do target system. Okay, so this is probably a support right now. Based on that. I'm going to be paying attention. 0.08. Sorry, 0.08. 0 to 0.074. That's going to be the step up. I'm still going to be using the reverberation since they appear to be active. Not accurate, and yeah, they're still active. Let's take that and I'm going to bring it down to there. So this is a weakness I'm looking at therefore. So again, once you have the key, you can use that key for its purpose. Okay, so this is actually a negative area. You can use it as a reverberation KR. Left bottom. So that's an area that's negative. Let's quickly do the target system. Pull up our fixed range volume profile, bottom to top, the farthest one out, and there we go. Ooh. Yep, so that's another negative for this crypto. This is a negative area where we're rejecting underneath the first target, and the next targets are on the opposite side of this. So there's going to be down here next, and then the other one's going to be down here. That's probably going to be a strong one. Okay. 0.061, 0.047, 0.101, 0.087, 0.116, 0.156. Okay, and then finally, what I want to do right here, I want to draw some supports from the foundational area. I got 2, and they're going to give me something like that. I'm going to draw one more angle for you, and I'm going to look at this one. Let's give this ice cream color. Okay, disrespect. Okay, so that should have been resistance. Okay, that's just going to stress this area here. I'm going to go to a weekly chart and see if this is anything. Nope. Core cluster is going to give me a much more severe angle. Yeah. Let's get really accurate if I can. Alright, using this energy center here, this may be a type of health, but this may be a type of health. Either way, this is going to be a type of prime vortex. Prices in these pockets. The step up, this foundational area, and I need to make sure this is labeled weekly. Middle. And it's going to stress these points here. So I'm going to look and be paying attention to what's going on right now. I want to see high volume bars on this down one right there. Okay. If I see high volume into this pocket, it's possible that because of the next bar, we may be buying our way out of here. That actually might be a good thing for this crypto. Let's take a look at the volume. And it's very low. Or it's actually still relatively high compared to previous. It is. I'm seeing very high volume on the up bar, but I don't like that really high volume into the down move. Especially if there's a weakness that will be revealed in the next few weeks. I don't like that ultra high volume. I think this is dumping. I think they bought it up, and then the very next week they dumped it. Otherwise, why are we going down into the right? Now, we are going down on lower volume, so there's probably some more stuff. There's probably not a lack of a strong interest in these low prices, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get one more move here, because this whole move down is on lack of interest when we're doing the macro VSA. So if we look at the macro VSA, this is a lack of interest on the down move, but the volume is too high for that bar right there. So I'm thinking this is selling, and I'm thinking because of the lack of interest, we're going to get one more opportunity to sell. So I wouldn't hold on to this for super long. I'd probably be looking to get out at a quarter. Okay. So I'm going to put a marker there and an alert. That's what I would do. So about 25 cents, 26 cents, I'm going to put an alert on this angle due to due to possible high selling, and I'm going to put the word dumping because it looks like a dump, on May 12th week. I would be looking, how do I word this? Due to possible selling on May 12th week and the lack of interest on the following down move on the weekly chart, I would be looking for this to dump again around 25 cents, 25 to 26 cents. Price is also possibly at a support. Therefore, if I was in a buy position, I would be looking carefully around a quarter to take profit. Okay, so that's the message I gave myself for the alert, and I will also put that as a text box, just so I'm reminded if price ever hits there. But that's I would copy and paste my message on your screenshot and put the date, June 25th, 2025. Okay, so that's how I would play it. I'd be looking to exit there if we get there. Otherwise, weakness may come in, and we'll go from there. All right, any other questions? MOODENG? My opinion on MOODENG. Okay. Take your screenshot now if you need to. Otherwise, this will be uploaded. All right. That's going to conclude today, my friends. I'm going to be taking my leave. Right now, I'm not feeling so well. So, I'm feeling a little tired. I will bless you guys. Lord, bless our community. Be with them. Give them strength and encouragement when they need to. Give them peace and calm. And I pray that you'd lighten their burden. And I pray that you would gladden their hearts. Let them always be ready for you. We love you. We thank you. In Jesus' name. Amen. Be with the Lord today. I only have one more thing to say. I'm always on high alert around June 27th. That's coming up. Going to be on this Friday, right? Tomorrow's June 26th, Friday. I'm always on high alert June 27th because based on the dream I had that there was a crash that happens. It could be on July 27th, but I had dream years ago that there was a big dump that happens on a June 27th. And from what I remember, was it a Thursday? I think it was a Thursday. Something like a Thursday. From what I remember. I'm always on high alert. I don't know if it's this year or whenever year it will be, but that's always where I'm looking at. So I bless you guys. Have a great day. Take care.